What's up everyone, it's your girl Shay here. Welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back to my channel if you have been here before. As you can see by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about a webtoon that I recently just finished by the name of Idol House. So Idol House is pretty much about a girl named Eri who lives with her mother, and her mother is actually a huge fan of a K-pop group named NieR. After her mother wins the contest, they actually end up living with NieR for 2 months, or NieR ends up living with them for 2 months. And in the span of the 2 months, they also are filming a reality show. So the webtoon is 71 chapters, and at the time that I had started reading it, it was available on Manta Comics, but at this time it is currently no longer available there. And then as far as the tropes that are in this, you have love triangle tropes, celebrity, as well as enemies to lovers. So if you are a fan of any of those tropes, definitely recommending this webtoon to you. And the main character's name is Eri. And as far as what I enjoyed about this webtoon, honestly, I think it was because it was very easy to read. It was easy for me to get engrossed with the characters. And for me, since I am a K-pop fan, especially of the group BTS, it was fun to be able to read about a K-pop group, as well as to be able to read about like a fan or like the daughter of a fan being able to live with a K-pop group and just be involved in that fantasy on what that would actually be like. So the aspect of them also filming a reality show was another thing that I also really liked. I thought that brought like a new edge to the entire webtoon, because it obviously could have just stayed kind of fluffy, but because of them adding in the reality show, it added in a lot of drama. And it also added in, I think, even more drama was because of the fact that Eri's not a fan of this K-pop group. She doesn't understand why her mom likes them so much. She's very skeptical of the guys as well. She's very skeptical of like the company. She's just very skeptical of a lot of things, and so that brought in some extra drama. Now it did have its sweet moments, which is what made you want to keep reading as well. And also I did like the way they handled the love triangle aspect of the webtoon. That is because I'm not a huge fan of love triangles. To me, you're kind of like hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes I think they drag out the love triangle entire concept, but in this case they actually handled it very well. They got it to the point fairly quickly. You kind of knew where the feelings of all the characters were, so you kind of knew in what direction it was ultimately going to head in. But seeing the love triangle take place did bring that little extra like zing that the webtoon kind of needed. Now, as far as what I didn't like, there were just some things that weren't the best thing for me in the series. And one of the biggest things for me was the ending. It just felt like it was extremely rushed. Like it felt like it got to like the big like climax of the entire webtoon, but then it just kind of like tapered off. Like it just like it's like they rushed to like tie up those loose ends to get to the end of the story. And while the climax was great, like it was a great lead up to the climax, I thought it was a great way that the drama started to unfold. But I kind of wish, or I think that to me, that they could have dragged it out a little bit longer. Again, I'm not trying to give any spoilers for anyone who does want to read this webtoon, for those people who do end up finding it and are able to read it online. But I just felt like they could have like, because one of the biggest things, one of the biggest dramas in there is that there's a rival company that is trying to have it out for the company that NieR is underneath, due to some of their trainees moving to that company, etc., etc. So Eri, she's like working for them, for the company, kind of like she's working as like a manager, however you want to put it, right? And so she's trying to figure out why so many of these bad things are happening to NieR, and she's trying to prove that it is due to this rival company. And so to me, when it got to the climax of that, it then started to like, it got to that, but there wasn't any like like you didn't see you kind of saw the like was it the aftermath when everything happened? But to me, it could have been more detailed. It could have been more dragged out, but they actually ended up not doing that. It was kind of like they mentioned it, but it was really about tying up loose ends and getting to the end of the story. So to me, that's what made it feel extremely, extremely rushed. Also, another thing that I didn't like, but I kind of wish was in there more, was that Erie's mother would have a bigger role, because she was the one that ultimately won the contest, but she then wasn't completely involved in the series unless it was during a time where Erie like needed advice or was in trouble, or if it was something directly involving her mother, since her mother does end up getting involved with a little bit of drama, but not because of anything the mother did. It was just, you know, the rival company threatened her mother, that sort of a situation. But I wished her mother would have just been more involved. I wish she would have been more in the series. I wish she just would have like just played a bigger role, because they set it up with the mother winning the contest, but then the mother just kind of disappeared. And it became more about Erie, which makes sense because it is like an enemies to lovers sort of story, love triangle, like I said, romance. But I don't know, I just wish her mother would have been involved in it just a little bit more, because I feel like she was gone for too much of this series. And another thing that I also forgot to mention was that it just, to me, the reason why I also captivated with the story before is, like I said, I'm a fan of BTS. I'm a fan of like you know, K-pop and stuff like that. It was a again, the fantasy aspect of it was what I loved about it. As far as like overall, I enjoyed this webtoon. I thought it was great, very nice, easy to read again. And again, like I said before, because I'm such a fan of K-pop and like idol culture and stuff like that, for me, I was able to like correlate the story to the story of the K-pop group that I like. Not completely, again, I like BTS, but because of the fact that in the story the group Near is under a smaller company, so they don't have a whole lot of opportunities, so they kind of take what they can get. But because of being bigger companies out there, they're kind of like sequestered a little bit. And that's kind of like how, like, for anybody who is a fan of BTS, how they kind of got started. Their group was a smaller group, their smaller company. They, you know, they had bigger companies out there that had a lot more opportunities than they did, a lot more push than they did. And, you know, ultimately BTS succeeded. And in Near's case, you know, Near's doing very well for themselves. They have a pretty good fan base. They have a lot of people around them. But there's just like things that kept happening to Near that were like causing them to like doubt themselves and things like that. And so that was also why I enjoyed reading it so much. So it's definitely a webtoon that I would recommend for anybody who is a fan of K-pop, who is a fan of romance. Even if you're not a huge fan of K-pop, but you're just a fan of like romance, enemies to lovers, that sort of trope, love triangle trope, but a dash of love triangle, but not enough where it's like causing you just so much angst either. Sorry, my nose, every time I record a video, my nose decides to start to run. But also, overall though, again, I love the story. I thought it was great. I thought the author had, the artwork was amazing in the webtoon, because some webtoons, you know, sometimes the art isn't exactly your style and it kind of takes you out of the story. Not in this case. I thought the art was great. I thought it had, you know, kept me engaged into the story the entire time. Again, overall, definitely recommend reading it if you're able to find it. Again, it's not available on Mansa anymore, which was where I read it, but you might be able to find it somewhere else, or at least that's where I tried to read it. So you'll have to search for it if you do want to read it. But yeah, highly recommend it. I think I rated this 4 stars. I took away 1 star just because of how rushed the ending felt to me, but still definitely a webtoon I recommend. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys as far as the review is concerned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, link below I will have all my social media accounts, my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, and as well as my Threads account. I'm starting to post more on my Threads, a lot of stuff like anime related, K-pop, you know, stuff like that, more related. I still do post on Twitter every now and then, but Twitter's gotten to be a pretty crazy place, so I'm starting to transfer a lot more things to Threads now. Just as a heads up. Also, of course, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and today's day, stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys, bye.